How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're looking at the mythology and history behind the infamous Roux-Ga-Roux. And today's episode's in collaboration with our friend S.A. McNally from visitcryptoville.com. Check out their website for insights on cryptids and other scary creatures. I highly recommend you check it out. There's a link to their website in the description box below and it's pinned in the comments.
Roux-Ga-Roux are mysterious werewolf-type creatures that hide in the treacherous bayous and swamps of America's southernmost states, and occasionally seek out humans on whom they exact their revenge and purge the evil that has befallen them. A lot of confusion surrounds this legendary werewolf creature, starting with all the names it goes by, no matter how you spell it. This werewolf legend is still alive and well in the folklore of Cajun French Louisiana. Professor Barry-Jean Ancelet is an expert in Cajun folklore at the University of Louisiana Lafayette, and he reports that the legend of the Roux-Ga-Roux is common throughout the area. He states that the story originated in medieval France, and was thought to be a tale told to children to keep them away from the woods. The legend and folklore surrounding the Roux-Ga-Roux followed the French settlers to Louisiana, and was further buoyed by French Canadians migrating down to New Orleans within the last couple of 100 years. Professor Ancelet explains that the Roux-Ga-Roux is said to prowl the swamps and bayous of Louisiana, as well as the areas around New Orleans itself. He added that it has the body of a man and the head of a wolf or dog. Modern-day sightings seem unanimous in reporting that the creatures stand between 7 to 8 feet tall, which is around 2.1 to 2.4 meters, having horrible sharp teeth and glowing red eyes. The Roux-Ga-Roux is said to have the abilities of shape-shifting, superhuman strength and speed. The afflicted creature will shapeshift from human form into the demonic-looking spectre of the werewolf. They're stronger than men, easily able to crush bones, and can move extremely fast, a necessity when hunting prey. Their primary motivation is to eat flesh, especially if they want to rid themselves of the curse. Some say Roux-Ga-Roux can only be destroyed through fire, others believe decapitation is the only way to kill them. In addition to decapitation, people will mutilate the Roux-Ga-Roux's body so there's no chance for it to come back. Depending on who you talk to, there seems to be several ways to become a Roux-Ga-Roux. In one article, Professor Ancelet mentioned that sometimes a person becomes a Roux-Ga-Roux voluntarily, while at other times the person is cursed into one. Another source claims that a Roux-Ga-Roux's eyes must be avoided, or else the curse will be passed on to you. Another version of the legend states that a person who is bitten by a Roux-Ga-Roux and becomes one themselves must not speak about it when in human form for 101 days. This is referred to as being under the spell of the Roux-Ga-Roux. If or when the Roux-Ga-Roux draws the blood of a victim, the curse transfers to that victim, and the attacking creature is released from the curse. However, the former Roux-Ga-Roux remains weakened and a bit sickly from the experience, and they never speak of it due to shame and the fear of being killed. Legends say that almost all the victims know who the Roux-Ga-Roux who cursed them is in human form. Other versions of the legend describe the Roux-Ga-Roux as a type of headless horseman, resulting from the curse of a witch. In this scenario, only a witch can make a Roux-Ga-Roux, by either turning into a wolf herself or cursing others with lycanthropy. American screenwriter and filmmaker Glenn Petra has another version of how one becomes a Roux-Ga-Roux. In this scenario, a person commits a transgression of some sort, then they become a Roux-Ga-Roux. He also stated that outcasts in the community or somewhat eccentric people often become objects of suspicion, the idea being that they're probably a Roux-Ga-Roux. So how do we get all these variations? Oral tradition. The problem with oral tradition is that these stories or accounts can be altered over time within the same group. Now consider how many groups of people are handing these stories down in many areas throughout the region, and what we see is that the stories seem to change from region to region. Hence, we get 101 versions of more or less the same story. According to retired English professor and folklore specialist at Nicholls State University in Louisiana, Patricia Perrin, the the most common motif is of a nighttime exposure to the Rougarou. The person who encounters the Rougarou is attacked and bloodied in some way, thus allowing the spell to transfer to the new victim. From there, the tale can either be light or dark. In the darker tale, the person who encountered the Rougarou kills themselves. She adds, the darker tale is almost always associated with a person who told of the encounter in less than a year. In an article for the Nicholsworth website, Brandon False quotes sources found in the archives of the Alinda Memorial Library that report in Louisiana, due to the scarcity of the wolves in the wild, the Rougarou is associated with local animals, like dogs, pigs, cows, and even chickens. Regardless of the form it takes, these animals supposedly pester its next victim until they draw blood somehow from the person, once again transferring the curse. In the past, people tried to avoid encountering a Rougarou altogether. Men would place an unspecified amount of leaf in their wallets to ward it off, while women often painted a hexagon in the centre of their floor and said prayers to keep the Rougarou away. Professor Perrin adds, nowadays, the Rougarou plays a similar role to the boogeyman in other cultures. People of Louisiana want to hold on to the story, but people with an education don't want others to think they're crazy. The Rougarou plays as significant a role in continuing the Cajun culture as crawfish boils do. As if this all wasn't confusing enough, there's actually more versions of this cryptic story. According to Darrell Holmes, a Nicholls State University assistant professor and folklore specialist, there are some southern Louisiana tales that concern other were creatures. There are supposedly were cows in those areas, and in an area rich with lakes, there is even a were crane. Professor Ancelet further confirms these variations by sharing this story. There is a Roux-Ga-Roux or were owl, including one from a deer hunter who shot an owl with an arrow. The next day, the hunter said he found a man suspected of being a Roux-Ga-Roux lying in the same spot as the fallen owl, with an arrow stuck in the same place the owl had been pierced. Glenn Peter adds that there is a tale of a were-pig around Grand Isle, as well as stories about a Bigfoot-style Rougarou. Former resident of Cutoff LA, Wendell Carroll, reports that he's heard tales of Rougarous appearing as other frightening creatures, such as leopards, panthers, and bears. So basically, anything that scares you at night can become a were creature. What these stories do have in common is that they're all vague with no proof or evidence whatsoever, and no real witnesses, just people who heard a story from another local. Before we get to our conclusion on whether the Rougarou really exists, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on channel notifications. That way you'll be updated on all our latest content. Clearly, oral tradition has fanned the flame of this legend throughout the southern Cajun culture and geographic area. The fact that there are so many variations and each from a different locale seems to indicate that for whatever reasons, the original basic story was altered by communities over time. It's possible that some of the Rougarou encounters people have reported are really Bigfoot encounters. He's big, hairy, can be menacing, and in that area of the world they might be more bad-tempered than, say, their cousins in the Pacific Northwest. Bigfoot reports around the country state that Bigfoot sometimes has large glowing red eyes at night, something he has in common with many other animals long known to science. People report encounters with Bigfoot far more than they do those with the Rougarou, and Bigfoot at least leaves footprints. There's also another element to this story, that is the human element. We know that there are psychopaths in the world and always have been. Some are outcasts and some are people who engage in evil things, all because of their own troubled nature and personality. It's probably fair to say that a lot of these stories about people disappearing and bodies being found mutilated in the swamps and bayous could be victims of their own kind, humans. And let's not forget how treacherous the entire area is, teeming with animals like alligators, bugs, snakes, and plants and quicksand that could kill you, not needing any help from a cryptid. Still, there are people living in the area who swear that these things are real. In an article on visitcryptoville.com, many people shared their thoughts and opinions in the comments, some extensively, and you can see they truly deeply believe in these things. Some have suggested that they're a more demonic manifestation than animal or human. As with any cryptid unknown to science, it's going to take a lot of genuine first-rate evidence to prove that the Rougarou exists, something we'll probably never get. For now, it's safer and easier to stay out of the woods, especially at night.
If you want more beastly content just like this, then check out that video on the top there. Otherwise, there's a scary playlist there you can binge on for hours. Now remember to check out visitcryptoville.com. There's a link to their website in the description box below and it's pinned in the comments. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time.